Okay, next. Next. Okay, this is really cool. Now, we can't pronounce anybody's name, so you know these guys are good. Okay, and Wojtaszek or Wojtaszek, whichever you prefer, he used to work with Anand, preparing for world championship matches. Okay, now first thing he did was always repeat. Now, obviously, white's up a pawn, so white's trying to win, and black's threatening check winning his rook, and he's also threatening this pawn which draws. So if he plays rook c5 and defends his pawn, rook h4 takes on b4 as a draw, at least. So he has to play king g4, and then always repeat. Hooray! And they agreed to a draw. Let's go to the next game. No, that's not what happened. But always repeat. Now in this position, black didn't want to defend passively because he thought that would be hopeless. He thought if he just did nothing, eventually white would win. The engine sort of agrees with that. It says white's like +2. Better drawing chances by doing nothing. But instead, Alekseev forced a reckoning because he has a hole in him and it can't be filled. He can't kill enough or leave enough misery to fill the hole. And he needs revenge. Revenge for what? For being born. Anyway, so he played rook g5. Now, the problem with counterattacking, let's say you're like, I literally don't care about this pawn, so I'll go here. Now it's a draw because black doesn't take the pawn, he goes here. And this is just a dead draw. No, white's not even better anymore. If I take this, it's equal material. And if you go here, I take this, it's equal material. So rook c7 doesn't work. Rook h4 is shallow and pedantic. Grandmasters don't play moves like that. That's the worst square ever for the rook. Terrible. And the engine says all zeros because you can't win with your rook there. Okay, so white plays the only move that could win, and he knew it won. He knew. He played rook c5. Now, in my opinion, which I guess doesn't matter, but I'll give you my opinion anyway, black should be ashamed of what he did here. Shamed. Because he's good enough to figure out what the result will be, and people like him, and whatever. Okay, so now Alekseev made a very bad move. He could probably be losing, but last longer with rook g7 and just chill and lose in 400 moves instead of losing immediately. And he's good enough to calculate all the way to the end, but he did not. So that's not a good fighting spirit to play a move that loses immediately instead of a move where you might lose, but it'll take 30 more moves. And he played rook takes, and that just loses immediately. And if I thought rook takes lost as the game shows, I wouldn't play it. I'd play rook g7, and I'd lose in 1,000 moves. But okay, he just lost without any fight. Okay, and the reason it's lost is white has to play super accurately to win. And it's possible Alekseev didn't see what white could do here. Then I give him a pass. But if he said, I hope this is a draw, and didn't analyze, or if he had less than 5 minutes on his clock, which is very likely, then okay, I give him a pass. So white's winning here, but this is a very difficult win. If you're not a grandmaster, it's hard to find the next few moves for white. If you're using an engine, it's really easy. Oh, it's so easy. Nothing's easier. If you're using an engine, you can write the right move in the chat over, and no problem. Easy. Now, here's what you guys do. You guys. Now, half of you are just looking at your engine and putting the move, okay? The other half are like, I think this is good, am I right? No. You're always wrong when you didn't calculate it. You're just wrong. Even if the move is the right move and it does win, you're still wrong. Because you don't know it's the right move. You don't know that it wins. You're just asking me. If you say, is c6 right? If c6 was right, you're still not right because you don't know. If you said c6 wins, look at this analysis I did. I mean my engine did. I mean I did. If you're like, does this win? Does this win? Okay. If you're asking, you don't know the answer. And the player with the white pieces, he knew he was winning here. That's why he played rook c5. That's why he played king f3. He had calculated that this is winning. Otherwise, he wouldn't do that, etc. Yeah, just saying like, hey, I was right. I said a legal move, and out of the 7 legal moves, that was the right one. Yay. That's not how chess works. You figure it out or you don't figure it out. Okay, the only winning move is king e4, and after the obvious frankly takes, there's one winning move. Now there's a lot of legal moves. I think there's 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So out of 11 legal moves, one wins. The truth hurts. You may be right. Yeah, f4, then black plays king g6, and it's not difficult to draw. The only winning move is king f5. Okay, so king h4 is forced, obviously. f4. And he played h5. The other move is this, and that actually transposes into sort of what happened in the game. Here, h5, etc., mainly, etc. And then there's more than, I mean, this move wins immediately because it trades queens. There's 2 legal moves, and they both trade queens. King h3, I check and take. King g2, I check and take. Your king's on h1, and then, okay, I win easily. So instead of king g3, he played h5. And now he played king g4, slightly different than king g3. So same position, but the king's on g4. The king's on g3, queen here, check. Now, we could just play, it turns out every check wins. We can go here and transpose to the other position, but he played queen g7. You can't play king here because you lose your queen. And if you play king to the h file, I win your queen or trade queens and then this. So here he resigned. A little late, but. So this king and pawn ending is dead lost. If white plays king here, that's like the last hard move to find. Then it's a win. And maybe Alekseev even saw that won and hoped that his opponent didn't do it. Or maybe he just was in time trouble and he figured the rook and pawn ending is lost. Maybe I can draw this. Truth hurts. But normally, you don't go, I mean, at the super GM level, you don't go into dead loss king and pawn ending and then resign in a few moves. And you play, try harder. Evil Gin subscribed. Hooray. What's wrong with king e5? Oh, in this position? Then I go here and it's a draw. See, king f5 traps the black king. If I can go here and here, I'm not worse. Yeah, you're actually risking losing when you go here. Because I have the outside passed pawn. So, I mean, this is a draw, but I'd rather have black now. Because, you can't queen anymore. f4, if you play f4, for example, I go here and, just a draw. Also, other moves draw. h5 draws, king here draws. Right, you don't want black to play king here and stop you from queening. You want to play king a5, then you queen by force. Yeah, and white queens by force. Also by farce.